and moving slow. And by moving fast and moving slow, I mean it. I transfer that in terms of the dialect of thinking, processing while having a conversation, while having a dialogue. You know, you can move slow, you know, and observe while you speak and what you think, or when you speak with others, or you can move fast and you maybe don't see things because you read it over, because you're thinking too fast, you speak too fast, and then you miss a lot of things. Sometimes people use it on purpose or not. And also we have then this chemical energy which explodes. It's in a category, in a sort of potential energy. So chemical energy could be also, it says chemical energy and fire is explosion, etc. It could be also, as I understand, in the human field, in the human body, soul, mind function, in the behavior, is that if there is a conversation or a debate going on, or a dialogue going on, and both of the parts of the human beings, there's a lot of misunderstanding, hatred, anger, it can explode. You know, one person can go crazy and be violent and all that. So that's what I call it in the chemical energy. And also energies can transform, you know. For example, chemical energy in the body, which is potential energy of an act, doing or moving something. Now, this is the energy thing. So energy has two main categories. That's kinetic and potential. So kinetic means moving fast. So the result of moving fast is it can crash, it can smash, it can make an accident, it can hit. So you have to use that action, those terms, into the psychological field in human behaviors, when we have a dialogue, conversations, when we do events and stuff like that, that if something goes too fast, uncontrolled, it can crash, it can hit, it can damage. And the same thing with potential energy. It's the same thing. If it can explode, you know, it can explode, it can create fire, violent, it can, you know. And now we come into mass. Now there was all now the energy. Now we're going to the mass, to the body. And it says that, and I told you again, let me just remind you that be very aware of certain words and associate those words into the human field, the human nature, human behavior, human actions, human mind, soul, body in his daily life, and not in the nature or in the universe field, in the human field. So then mass. I see mass as body. Our body is mass. All bodies are mass. So what is mass? They say in the science, they say inertia. Inertia, property of a body by virtue of which it opposes any agency that attempts to put it in motion, or if it's moving, to change the magnitude or direction of its velocity. That means that any agency, whatever what it is, the media, information, television, radio, books, magazines, I call that the agencies, if they attempt to move our body, our body into motion, or if it's moving, to change the direction and the magnitude, right, or the velocity, and The mass is the same thing. Mass is also that mass in physics means measure of inertia. Mass means it's a fundamental property of all matter. It is, in effect, the resistance that a body, which is us ourselves, of matter offers to change in its speed or position up on the application of a force. The greater the mass of a body, the smaller the change produced by an applied force. You understand that? That means let me draw it right here so you know what I mean. And what is really to be very notable and important is that they always write a force, an agency, a force. And a force and an agency in our daily life is, for me, the newspapers, the movies, magazines, television, radio. So, and it's so interesting. That's so interesting. And he says that the greater the mass of a body, it's a big, heavy body, it's harder to move it around than the little ones. So if you see that in a larger scale, populations, civilization, population, us, ourselves, citizens, if you have 1 million people, that's the mass of a body, it's a greater mass, and you have there only 50 people, and you have here 1 million people, and the differential, see a smaller and a larger. It says, the greater the mass of a body, the smaller the change produced by an applied force. It's always this force, agency. And I think those force and agency, if we put in our daily facts life, are the newspaper, the magazines, the books, the movies, all that media information stuff. That it's harder to move a larger scale of people than little people. So this is what I'm trying to tell you, how my phenomena of understanding how we human functions instead of how the nature functions or how the universe functions, because whatever they discover and know how things function in the universe and the nature, that tells me that I know how to understand how a human functions with the body, mind, soul. Very important. And also by that, it's a very interesting thing that in the physics they say that the greater the mass of a body, the smaller the change produced by an applied force. And that reminded me on the sayings of Jesus. He was saying that there was a sea and they threw out a net, and one fisher took out the net and he had a lot of small fishes, and the other guy had a net with one large fish. And one of these guys, or Jesus, he threw back the small fish back in the sea, and they just took the big fish out of the sea. So his sayings, I see it in this and I see it in this. It's very interesting how Jesus is always in between in those equations and theories, which I see in Albert Einstein, Isaac Newton, Johannes Kepler, Copernicus. They have all this kind of a spirit I see in all of them. It's always Jesus somehow between in Jesus' sayings. So that's the matter. And there was matter and mass. And motion in physics, they always cover up the human with words like in physics, in universe, in the nature, but it's actually the human. So in physics, motions in physics, motions in physics means change with time of the position or orientation of a body. Motion along a line or a curve is called translation. Motion that changes the orientation of a body is called rotation. In both cases, all points in the body have the same velocity, directed speed, and the same acceleration, time rate of change of velocity. The most general kind of motion combines both translation and rotation. So for me, it's a kind of like a significant, astonishing insight what I see in these things, because motion, mass, and matter is you. You are the motion, and you are the mass, and you are the matter, and you are the body, and you are the light, and you are energy. But physicists, cosmologists, astronomers, scientists, they always put the word physics, medicine, the universe, the nature to cover up the human. But they actually just explaining how a human works. And remember, I was saying motion, and the cover-up word in that case is mechanics. Motion, and the cover-up word is mechanics. And it says motion in physics. In physics, again here we have the cover-up word, but it's actually you. And motion is mechanics. Says motion change with time of the position or orientation of a body. Motion along a line or a curve is called translation. Motion that changes the orientation of a body is called rotation. In both cases, all points in the body have the same velocity, directed speed, and the same acceleration, time rate of change of velocity. The most general kind of motion combines both translation and rotation. It's just amazing. It always knocks me out of my chair because I see those insights. It's and motion. Where do you see motion? We have emotion. We have in the movie all these movie studios. We have the motion pictures, Universal Studios, motion pictures. It's all related to each other, and if you look at all my previous videos, you see all these things I'm talking. And all the videos I was uploading, they're all connected to each other. If you have the insight, what I'm trying to explain you. So motion change with time of the position or orientation of a body, which is you. You are the body, and motion is mechanics, motion pictures, Universal Studios. That means that those things, everything that moves your motion, it can change your opinion, your orientation of your mind body in your life, right? And it says the most general kind of motion combines both translation and rotation. So when you watch a movie, emotion, it's moving, emotion pictures, when you translate that movie in your perception, it changes your rotation, meaning your behavior, your action in your daily life. You have to be very sensible and aware of seeing those things, what I'm trying to explain you guys. It's really astonishing. So then also Newton says mass tells you how hard it is to change the course of an object, inertial mass. For years it was assumed that the mass of body always remained invariable. This notion expressed as the theory of conservation, listen to the word, conservation of mass. We are the mass, the body.